Okay, we are picking it up on page 90 in our book. And so let me see if I can just make this happen. Here we go. Hope you're doing well. Um, we left Edinburgh in a week and journeyed on to Perth, where our friend expected us, but I was in no mood to laugh and talk with strangers or enter into their feelings or plans with the good humor expected from a guest. I wish to make the tour of Scotland alone. Do enjoy yourself, and let this be our rendezvous. I may be absent a month or two, but do not interfere with my motives. I entreat you, though he's saying goodbye. Leave me to peace and solitude for a short time, and when I return, I hope I will be with a lighter heart, more congenial, which means friendly and easygoing, to your own temper. I had rather be with you in your solitary rambles than with these Scotch people, whom I do not know. I am bent on this plan. Hasten then, my dear friend, to return, that I may again feel myself somewhat at home, which I cannot do in your absence. So he says goodbye to his good friend. I determined to visit some remote spot of Scotland and finish my work in solitude. I did not doubt but that the monster followed me, and would discover himself to me when I should have finished, that he might receive his companion. With this resolution, I traversed the northern highlands and fixed on one of the remotest of the Orkneys as the scene of my labors. It was a place fitted for such work, being hardly more than a rock. The soil was barren, scarcely affording pasture for a few miserable cows and oatmeal for its inhabitants, which consisted of five gaunt and scraggly persons. So he's got these cows that are scraggly and starved to death. And in this retreat, I devoted the morning to labor. But in the evening, when the weather permitted, I walked on the stony beach to listen to the waves as they roared and dashed at my feet. In this manner, I distributed my occupations when I first arrived. But as I proceeded in my labor, it became every day more horrible and irksome to me. Sometimes I could not prevail on myself to enter my laboratory for several days, and at other times I toiled day and night in order to complete my work. I grew restless and nervous. Every moment I feared to meet my persecutor. During my first experiment, a kind of enthusiastic frenzy had blinded me to the horror of my employment. But now I went to it in cold blood, and my heart often sickened at the work of my hands. Volume 3, Chapter 3. A train of reflection occurred to me which led me to consider the effects of what I was now doing. 3 years before I was engaged in the same manner, and it had created a theme whose unparalleled barbarity had desolated my heart and filled it forever with the bitterest remorse. I was now about to form another being of whose dispositions I was alike ignorant, which basically means I'm about to make another creature and I don't even know what it's going to be like. She might become 10,000 times more malignant than her mate and delight for its own sake in murder and wretchedness. So he's imagining this, what happens when this woman comes to life. He had sworn to quit the neighborhood of man and hide himself in deserts, but she had not. And she, who in all probability was to become a thinking and reasoning animal, might refuse to comply with a compact made before her creation. So basically, hey, she might say, I wasn't a part of this deal. I'm not going to comply. I'm not going to go along with it. Okay. They might even hate each other. The creature who already lived loathed his own deformity, and might he not conceive a greater abhorrence for it when it became before his eyes in the female form? So they might just hate each other. Okay. She also might turn with disgust from him to the superior beauty of man. She might quit him and he'll be alone again, exasperated by the fresh provocation of being deserted by one of his own species. Yet, one of the first results of these sympathies for which the demon thirsted would be children, and a race of devils would be propagated upon the earth who might make the very existence of the species of man a condition precarious and full of terror. So, this is a very common theme in sci fi movies where the robots take over the earth, or whatever creature that man creates might destroy mankind. Now, for the first time, the wickedness of my promise burst upon me. I shuddered to think that the future ages might curse me as their pest, whose selfishness had not hesitated to buy its own peace at the price, perhaps, of the existence of the whole human race. Suddenly, he hears this noise. Yes, he had followed me in my travels. He had loitered in forest, hid himself in the caves, or taken refuge in wide desert heaths. And he now came to mark my progress and claim the fulfillment of my promise. His countenance expressed the utmost extent of malice and treachery. So he's looking in on him. I thought with a sensation of madness on my promise of creating another like to him. We got this creature that he creates. He thinks. So the pictures, takes an axe and he starts hacking away at this woman that he's created. The wretch saw me destroy the creature on whose future existence he depended for happiness. And with a howl of devilish despair and revenge, withdrew. I made a solemn vow in my own heart never to resume my labors. I was alone. None were near me to dissipate the gloom and relieve me from the sickening oppression of the most terrible reveries. Several hours passed. I felt the silence, although I was hardly conscious of its extreme profundity, until my ear was suddenly arrested by the paddling of oars near the shore, and a person landed close to my house. You have destroyed the work on which you begun. What is it that you intend? Do you dare to break your promise? I have endured toil and misery, endured incalculable fatigue and cold and hunger. Do you dare destroy my hopes? Begone! I do break my promise. Never will I create another like yourself, equal in deformity and wickedness. Slave, I before reasoned with you, but you have proved yourself unworthy of my condescension. Remember that I have power. You are my creator, but I am your master. Obey. The hour of my irresolution is past. Your threats confirm me in my determination of not creating you a companion in vice. Begone! I am firm, and words will only exasperate my rage. Shall each man find a wife for his bosom, and each beast have his mate, and I be alone? I had feelings of affection, and they were requited by detestation and scorn. Are you to be happy while I grovel in the intensity of my wretchedness? You can blast my other passions, but revenge remains. Revenge, henceforth dearer than light or food. Man, you shall repent of the injuries you inflict. I go, but remember, I shall be with you on your wedding night. He tries to lunge at him and he disappears. So he gives him this ominous warning that he's going to be with him on his wedding night. Okay. Before you sign my death warrant, be sure that you are yourself safe. He eluded me in his boat, which shot across the waters with an arrowy swiftness, and was soon lost amidst the waves. All was again silent. I thought again of his words. I shall be with you on your wedding night. That, then, was the period fixed for the fulfillment of my destiny. In that hour I should die. and at once satisfy and extinguish his malice. The prospect did not move me to fear. Yet when I thought of my beloved Elizabeth, when she should find her lover so barbarously snatched from her, tears, the first I had shed for many months, streamed from my eyes. I resolved not to fall before my enemy without a bitter struggle. The next day I received a letter from Clairvaux, entreating me to join him. This letter, in a degree, recalled me to life, and I determined to quit my island. I summoned sufficient courage to enter my laboratory and racked up my chemical instruments along with the remains of the half-finished creature. In the early morning, I sailed out and cast them into the sea. I listened to the gurgling sound as it sunk, and then sailed away from the spot. The air was pure. The northeast breeze refreshed me and filled me with such agreeable sensations that I resolved to prolong my stay on the water. Clouds hid the moon, everything was obscure, and I heard only the sound of the boat as its keel cut through the waves. The murmur lulled me, and in a short time I slept soundly. He falls asleep on his boat. When I awoke, I found that the sun had already mounted considerably. The wind was high, and the waves continually threatened the safety of my little skiff. The wind must have driven me far from the coast from which I had embarked. I endeavored to change my course, but quickly found that if I again made the attempt, the boat would be instantly filled with water. My only resource was to drive before the wind. I had no compass, and the sun was of little benefit to me. I might be driven into the wide Atlantic. I looked upon the sea, and it was to be my grave. Fiend, your task is already fulfilled. Some hours passed thus, but by degrees the wind died away into a gentle breeze, and the sea became free from breakers. I felt sick and hardly able to hold my rudder, when suddenly I saw land. My good friends, will you be so kind as to tell me the name of this town and inform me where I am? You will know that soon enough. Maybe you are come to a place that will not prove much to your taste, but you will not be consulted as to your quarters, I promise you. Why do you answer me so roughly? Surely it is not the custom of Englishmen to receive strangers so inhospitably. I do not know what the custom of the English may be, but it is the custom of the Irish to hate villains. You must come with me to Mr. Kerwin, the magistrate, and you are to give an account of the death of a gentleman who was found murdered here last night. So they grab him. Crowd grabs him. All right, we'll stop right there.